Welcome, 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 Orlando community. This is Juan Rodriguez, the host of Allies Podcast. Today we have an amazing podcast. I think it's going to be one of the most special ones because this is one of my allies that has been in our side helping our customers since 2014, and it's gonna be a lot of fun because at the beginning, like most people, when they hear how we conduct our business, we are not the typical body shop collision center. We are a pro consumer, pro fairness shop, and I remember at the beginning the relationship. It was hard to get a rhythm going because let's face it. According to if you ask some people, they're going to tell you that myself, I'm the biggest crook in this town because I'm looking after the best interest of the consumer, and that's when you ask the insurance people. But I'm gonna have a lot of fun. Let me introduce this guest. His name is Andrew Irvin, attorney Andrew Irvin from Irvin and Irvin Law here in Orlando. Welcome, Andrew.
Well, thanks for having me, Juan.
Great, great. I'm so happy to have you. And I remember, Andrew, when we met for the first time. Please tell our audience how was that introduction of a body shop that is actually wanting to do things right and is exposing the truth to the consumer and embarked to the journey of facing these giants of the insurance company. And pretty much everybody tells me, is that like David against Goliath? I'm like, I know. But you know something? Every day I can go to bed at night, rest assured that I'm doing the right things for the right reasons for the right people. And thank you for believing in me. So
Well,
please, share the community, how was that? And then a
it
little bit about yourself and what you do and how you do it.
yeah, well, it started with ignorance. I'm a personal injury attorney. Been a personal injury attorney ever since I came out of law school, and I had no doubt that insurance companies undervalue people's injury claims. That's essentially what gives me a job, is because people are injured, the law provides them a remedy, and when they make a claim, normally it's a insurance company that's defending the claim and eventually paying the claim. And my entire career was dedicated to trying to get not just get people money, but valuing what they lost in a car accident specifically, and being able to communicate that, whether it's to an insurance adjuster or ultimately a jury of the person's peers that would make a determination on what's the value of what that person lost in the car accident. But how I initially met Juan was a friend of mine gave me a call once that knew I was a personal injury attorney, but he wasn't injured in the accident, and he was having difficulty getting his repair bill paid by his insurance company.
Yep.
And so he called me kind of out of the blue one day and said, "Hey, Andrew, I know you do some things with car accidents. Like, this is the situation. What do I do?"
I
And I
got this
thought, well,
crazy guy telling me that the insurance company doesn't want to pay.
yeah, I don't even know if we had gotten that far. I was ignorant of, well, I've got some very strong looking letterhead that if I send this insurance company a letter with my name on it, because what you're disputing over a couple $1,000s, most of the disputes I was dealing with much, higher in value than that. So, hey, if this insurance company gets a letter from me, I'm sure they just stroke the check and pay it. See, a friend of mine, I thought, all right, let me send them the insurance company a letter, see what they do. Lo and behold, I got dragged into a little World War III on getting this guy's car repaired for $6,000, and the insurance company only wanted to pay $4,000. And in the midst of that process, the talking with adjusters from the insurance company, they start to tell me, well, it's this particular body shop is just a problem body shop. they charge more than everybody else. They're charging for car washes and seatbelt tests and all these things that no other shops charge for. And it's just, they're just making up stuff, just trying to milk every penny out of this little tiny claim. So I remember calling back to my friend and saying, hey, I think you just picked a bad body shop. Like, the insurance company's telling me like this shop is like maybe they're just milking your claim here, and I don't know what to do. So in midst of that, got eventually, because I had jumped into this, what I again thought was just going to be send a letter and they'll pay, to getting much more involved than I had originally wanted to, and started talking to Juan. He started telling me about just kind of the big picture of how he deals with insurance companies and them undervaluing property damage claims. And what I think kind of clicked with me pretty quickly is, well, here I am, a personal injury attorney in Central Florida. We are one of the seemingly largest markets of personal injury attorneys. We have, the kind of the 800-pound gorillas of personal injury attorneys that market all over the country, are here in Orlando. And we have hundreds, if not thousands of lawyers, or probably tens of thousands of lawyers in the state of Florida that at least dabble in personal injury. And again, all of us personal injury attorneys assume that the insurance company is undervaluing an injury claim. And then I thought, well, makes sense that they would also be undervaluing a property damage claim, especially because no attorneys really deal with the property damage side of cases. So kind of jumping back to a bit of my origin story, I'm a third generation attorney that never thought I was going to be a lawyer growing up. Always wanted to do different things, whether it was be a pilot or finance and or nonprofit work, and eventually went on to law school. But when I got out of law school, I joined my dad's firm. He's been a personal injury attorney in Winter Park since 1979. And I was always taught, when people had a car accident claim, that we would help them with their property damage, whether that was just to get a little more on their total loss claim, or if, again, I didn't see much of the repair issues, again, just not knowing that was even an issue. But sometimes that would just involve, again, looking up some comparables for our clients on what the value of their car is, send it to the adjuster, and negotiate a couple more $1,000s on a total loss. Again, everybody knows, your car's totaled. The insurance company is going to try to underpay what the value of your car is. And so that was always a part of our practice that we just did. And it wasn't until doing that for a few years that I realized, like, oh, just us even talking to our client about their property damage case, like, set us apart from seemingly 99% of other lawyers. When a client goes to a lot of law firms and they say, hey, I think I'm getting underpaid on my total loss claim, then lawyers just say, hey, we don't represent you for that. We only represent you for your injury claim.
I guess that's where finally our relationship clicked. You're like, I guess I'm the only one that is actually doing all these extra services for my Florida customers. And I remember, Andrew, when you showed up at our shop and you look at the vehicle, and how much do you know about car repairs?
Nothing.
And now, after all these years, you're seeing how complicated cars are, and about safety, how crucial it is, and how it's being neglected. So can you elaborate on that a little bit? How you're seeing it, because now you're actually is since 2014, that's quite a bit of years. I can't believe that I'm now thinking it's been a long time.
Yeah,
how important it is.
Yeah, one of the things, so personal injury attorneys, one of the things a lot of us like to talk about is um, we believe our work helps keep people safe, and that by keeping people accountable for their carelessness, it is helpful to society as a whole. But one of the aspects when attorneys aren't involved in the property damage side of their client's case is they're potentially allowing their clients back into cars that are unsafe to drive if they're not repaired properly. And so I think to me, it was never, I never really viewed it as this extra thing again until I realized I viewed it as something like a competitive advantage that set us apart just because other lawyers weren't doing it. But if somebody comes to me for a car accident, I going to help them with as much of the car accident as I can, not just kind of splice it in half and say, oh, well, this half I can make more money on. So that's the only half I'm going to help you with. And then this other half, I don't see a way that I can make money. So sorry, you're on your own. Just never seemed like, again, the right thing to do. So in kind of diving in, I feel like this story's got at least the original friend of mine that was getting his car repaired. After learning some more and then kind of getting back and going back and forth with this adjuster, they eventually did pay the claim in full. There was not a lawsuit involved. I didn't really work any miracle. I remember kind of at the time that Juan thought, hey, there's this magic lawyer now that just he sends a letter and this gets paid. But I think it was the aspect of there was a lawyer that actually was talking, just discussing that part of the claim with the insurance company that, possibly the adjuster's like, all right, like now I've kind of given the kind of the normal talking points that we always tell consumers, and it's no longer working on this lawyer. Like, maybe we should just pay this one and move on. We'll go save the $2,000 on the other 1,000 claims this month. So in getting into that, so that again, that was sort of our first part. And honestly, I could say I still don't think I learned anything about collision repair in that and helping my friend in there, other than whether or not a car should be washed prior to you fixing it or after you should be fixing it.
It's incredible how a car wash will insanely get an insurance company upset, right?
Yeah, and I think that those were early on when I was dealing with this, is those were kind of the things that eventually I was able to smell like, all right, this is like, you guys are kind of making up some stuff over here, because the difference would be $2,000, but the car wash was, a $25 charge or $50 charge, whatever it was. And I'd say, well, you keep talking about these couple particular items, but that only makes up, $150 of this difference. So like, where's the real difference here? And sometimes it would come down, they talk about labor rates, but then you look at even the labor rate difference and it's a $2 difference. There's 40 hours. That's only 800. So again, where are these other items that you're saying you won't pay for? And I think, as you know, a lot of it is just actual proper procedures in fixing a vehicle. It's not these kind of little items that that the insurance company adjusters think they can kind of inflame people about, of, oh, these particular items, those are, nobody charges for that. And as Juan knows, as I started kind of getting into it, started also realizing hey, nobody else does this thing is something that's said to a lot of shops. Particularly shops that aren't part of an insurance company's program.
Yeah, and definitely that was I think it was the beginning of discovering a niche that has been blessing a lot of people throughout these years, to help people to get proper and safe repairs following manufacturers guidelines, and being having the peace of mind that the vehicle is repaired correctly. And Andrew, couple of things that can you please tell us where is your firm located?
Sure. So we're in Winter Park, which is a suburb of Orlando, just on the north side.
Excellent. So if you're in Central Florida, you have, I will say the only one that helps the consumers with their property damage, because this is what happens, Orlando community. When you get involved in an accident, the insurance company's job is to make you whole. Whole, if you get injured, get your treatment, get whatever needs to be done to you get better at in your physical aspect. That's called personal injury. And then you have what is called the property damage. Property damage is anything that is related with your vehicle or something that it was damaged, a sign, a home, or a fence that got damaged on the accident. And these insurance companies, if you are just listening to them, they're going to give you the advice that is going to save them tons of money. And even if that means putting you in an unsafe vehicle, settling for less or taking less treatments, because sometimes, Andrew, you can share this with how many times they said that a treatment is not needed for that client.
Yeah. So yeah, similar to in the repair world is in bringing a personal injury case, usually the insurance company is going to hire a doctor that's going to say either some or all of the treatment they receive is not reasonable, it's not related to the accident, or any of the injuries that you have, whether it's really objective on an MRI and or other film, they'll say, well, yeah, we see that injury, but it's not from the accident, it's from something else. And you see the same thing in collision repair of, well, that's maybe repairable, not replaceable. Just kind of bang on it, make it look a little better, but let's not worry about any structural issues or real safety issues that go along on a collision repair.
And let's face it, it's like every other industry. You got bad apples. You got people who cheat and deceive and steal from the insurance company. And like we teach in this podcast, this is a relationship of three people. You got the consumer, you got the insurance company, and the service provider. If two of those align together, one of them is going to end up losing. If I align with the consumer, hey, let's go after the insurance company and let's get as much as we can and let's defraud them. That's not fair to the insurance company. If the insurance company partners with a body shop, that's what they do with the direct repair programs, their good hands, their select service, all these fancy names that they have. Those guys are in bed with the insurance company. So you're not the customer. You're going to end up being shortchanged of your repairs. And that's why I we make sure in our process to have a proper consultation with you, explain to you the reality of what is an insurance claim, why your vehicle needs to be repaired correctly following all manufacturer's guidelines, because a vehicle is the third biggest investment after your education and your home. And if the car is repaired incorrectly, it will diminish greatly. And we're going to be talking about diminished value in a couple of minutes. But the key here is, Orlando consumers, we want to make sure that you understand that picking the right expert to help you is priceless. And that's why the Allies Community Podcast was born, because we see on the daily basis, at least 5 to 10 times a day, people walking through our doorsteps, being involved in an accident. It's a tragic moment. And they are trusting someone who doesn't care about them. And us at Allies Auto, our promise to the Orlando community is to be transparent, to be ethical, and make sure that we're going to be that ally on your corner to guide you through these charter waters. And that's why the first thing that we tell a person is like, are you okay? If you feel good, typically right after the accident, you feel great. And most people call the insurance company, they call a body shop, and the first thing they're going to call you and ask you on that phone call is, are you okay? And you're going to say, yeah. They will use that against you. The best thing you could do if you get involved in an accident, call either call Allies Auto, call an expert like Andrew Irvin, his law firm, Irvin Law. Talk to us first, get a consultation, then make the all the phone calls and everything you need to do, because you want to be prepared. And we tell people, it's like, you don't want to show up at a gunfight with bare knuckles. And unfortunately, it's the reality. They're going to take advantage of you. The first thing they're going to do, they're going to try to manipulate you to go to one of the repair shops, try to not even seek of any treatment. And we tell our customers, hey, relax. Worst thing that could happen if you get checked out is you certify that everything is okay with you. I have a personal story in my house. My wife got into a car accident, everything was okay. Now she suffers from one of her hands, and she never made a claim or nothing. She could have had treatment and probably prevent that pain now after many years. So, Andrew, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I was saying, the going back to what you're saying about the three, there's three parties involved: the insurance company, the repair shop, and the consumer. I think too, because it is easy to talk about, how insurance companies undervalue claims. I mean, the business model is they receive in premiums and try to pay out as little as possible. But there is that aspect of that party involved, the collision repair shop. It's not. I have seen in getting more and more into learning about collision repair, really bad repairs coming out of both direct repair program shops, which are the shops that have relationships with insurance companies, and really bad repairs that come out of independent shops.
Actually, I'm
And
going to say it, not the attorney. 98% of the repairs are being neglected and not following manufacturer's guidelines, all because the pressure that these shops have, that they will not get referrals unless they play the insurance game. Us at Allies Auto, we don't play those games. And
well, but
you guys can
what I
watch another podcast with Drew Bryan, the founder of DB Orlando Collision. He's another ally here in Orlando. We are trying to do our best to bring to the community of Orlando safe and proper repairs. And I will say, to be honest with you, Andrew, and the Orlando community, we're the only shops doing it. And that's why we align as a great friendship, a great as colleagues, because we're seeing how everybody else is just doing whatever they want, and nobody's holding them accountable, and that's why they're getting away with it. So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you.
well, what I was also going to say is even some other independent shops, or again, they might be direct program shops, where the fault isn't just with the insurance company, because sometimes these shops aren't even doing kind of those minimal repairs that the insurance company wrote and paid for, and that's kind of what I've seen a lot, and then ended up bringing claims against collision repair shops because I mean, the example they've unfortunately seen over and over again, seems like on a rear-ended vehicle where even the insurance company agrees, maybe the rear floor pan, the rear bumper, the trunk all need to be replaced. and pays the shop for those repairs, pays them for the parts, even sometimes OEM parts. Pays the shop, says, yep, you go get OEM parts on this car, replace these parts. They all need to be replaced, and none of it's done. Instead of replacing it, they just kind of pull them. They bang out some dents and make it look somewhat presentable. Although, sometimes the trunk doesn't shut right, or the bumper's not sitting correctly. Then they, throw on a ton of Bondo or seam sealer and overspray, undercoating, all on the bottom. So, if you ever take your car to a mechanic, hopefully they don't see what happened. And I've seen that time and time again. So again, what I just want to point out is that there are times where the insurance company even writes, at least for some of the correct repairs to be done, and then there's shops getting paid for those repairs that aren't doing them. And I've had clients that drove around for a year and a half before they even found out. And then the shop wants to say, hey, well, that's not our fault. Like, must have happened. Something else must have happened.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, Andrew, I'll piggyback on that, is some of the shops, it's like that's the way the body shop industry ran for many years, where you don't want to get the insurance company upset, but you're not billing what you're supposed to. So in order for you as a shop owner to turn a profit so you can stay in business, you start doing fraud. And the insurance companies love it. Why? Because they're going to use that against you. And at the end of the day, you're signing up for all the liability. So what did they do? They paid for original brand new parts, but they didn't pay for 50 other items that needed to be done. What the shop does, something, just call the junkyard, get a couple of junkyard parts. Here, we're going to make the money. We make the car look good. The customer is not going to get it post-repair inspected, so nobody's going to find out. Orlando consumer, this is exactly what's happening on the day-to-day basis in this city and all over the nation. And that's why we're exposing it. Why? Because it's our moral duty to do this, because the insurance company keeps telling the Orlando community that we are overcharging, that we are over repairing cars. So now what we're going to do, we're going to actually expose this thanks to social media and all the platforms. And Andrew, I know this is going to be new for you, but I'm going to be launching a challenge that we're going to be challenging people to bring their car for a free post-repair inspection and show them how the repairs are being skimped and cutting corners. And we'll be launching that in the next couple of months. We're getting all the details round up, but we want to challenge the Orlando community to bring us their vehicles. And we want to expose this in a greater scale, because we are sick and tired of the abuse, and especially on what they're doing to shops that are just doing what's right for the Orlando community, and they're being blacklisted, and they're being put in a blacklist, and they're doing everything they can to get shops like us out of business. And I don't know if most consumers have noticed, but now all the body shops are big. They're just like Walmart's. Majority of the shops, the good standing shops that were standing, they're being bought because they're tired of the abuse. They're tired of what's happening. So they pretty much are throwing the towel, selling their shops. And they're like, something, I'm just going to retire and be done with it, because I will never be able to defeat Goliath. We're not going to defeat them. All we want to do is the consumers that are in our side, that watch our content. Those customers we want to help, and they're going to be able to get what is righteously owed to them. Will the insurance company ever change? No, they won't. They do it on the health industry. They do it on the home industry, where 97% of the people are being deceived and cheated from safe and proper repairs and being made whole. But at least we're doing our part and helping as many people as we can and try to influence others to do the same. Andrew, let's talk about post repair inspections.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I was going to say, or want to explain what that is. My limited understanding is somebody gets in a collision, gets their car repaired by a shop. Go get a second opinion after the repair is done, and make sure the repairs were done properly, and get that post repair inspection done as quickly as you can, because again, if there's a gap between the repair and this post repair inspection, the insurance company or the shop might be able to argue, hey, well, something must have happened in between. Like, when it left our shop, it wasn't that bad.
And how many shops have you seen after a post repair inspection? They actually document the whole journey of the repairs, like we do. What's been your experience?
Usually, shops that are not doing great repairs also have very poor documentation. Whether
Because they don't want no proof that they were doing a poor repair.
Right. And they might have a final bill after that. Very rarely do they have even photographs of the repairs going on, or can they produce invoices of the parts that they say they paid for, or any a common thing are doing scans, and they don't have the reports that were generated from these scans. That, again, just from seeing files that come out of your shop, those are routinely, they're printed out and put in the file. If they did the scan,
it's a huge game, and for us, this is serious. It's not a game. And let's face it, Orlando community, over 98% of shops in this town and in the country, they're not fully equipped with the right equipment to fix your vehicle. That's the first one. Why? Because they cannot afford to have the right equipment with the slim margins that they're getting, because they're being oppressed. And they're like, they have a frame machine, and the frame machine is collecting dust in a corner. They have a measuring system. It hasn't been updated in years, and the technicians don't even know how to use it. We go through this every day that we encounter a customer. It's like, I'm calling you because I'm having issues with my repairs. I listened to the insurance company's recommendations, and now I'm having issues. Oh, I went to this shop that saved my deductible, and now I'm having a huge nightmare in my hands. Can you help me? And what do? We provide them a free visual post repair inspection, and then we go over all the documentation. And like I mentioned before, most shops don't even document anything. A lot of the shops don't even give receipts out because they don't want any paper trail, especially if they save your deductible. You handle the keys, you get the keys back, goodbye. Why? Because they don't want any paper trail. And let's face it, Orlando community, if a body shop, if a roofing expert, if anybody that is doing a repair for you, a service, is saving you $500, $1,000. Now I'm seeing even higher deductibles. They're not gonna. That money is not gonna come out of their pocket, out of their profit. It's coming out of your benefits on how you're supposed to get that repair done correctly. They're gonna cut corners, and that's how they're gonna be able to save you that money. And the problem is they're not honest, and they don't tell you. At least if they would tell you, hey, I'm going to save you your $500 deductible, but you know that trunk lid that they wrote it to put a new? I'm just going to repair it or get a junkyard one. Are you okay with that? Sure, no problem. You're saving my deductible. I'm willing to live with that. That's not illegal. There's no need of doing fraud, committing fraud. Just be honest and ethical with your consumer, and don't deceive them. But people think they're getting the great repair, they're getting a great deal plus saving the deductible, and they don't know 3 years later the car paint is delaminating, they're having issues with the car, and then when they go back, oh, the body shop is already out of business. No wonder they were committing fraud. That's why a lot of body shops don't stay open for more than 5 years. We've been in business for over 20 years here in the Orlando community. We only align with like-minded individuals and companies that I consider my allies. And that's why we have Andrew Irvin from Irvin Law here in Winter Park. And he's one of my allies that has helped. Andrew, can we say hundreds of customers?
Probably not hundreds of yours, but
Yeah. But,
yeah.
it's just amazing how we can only do a little bit. We're not going to be able to help everybody, but we make a little impact on a family's financial well-being and safety. And that's why you want to get your car post repair inspected. Because if you're going to resell the vehicle and it's poorly repaired, it's going to diminish greatly. And if you take it to the dealer and they're going to inspect it and they see and they start touching the edges and they see that the panels misaligned, you have replica counterfeit knockoff parts on your vehicle. It shows. I remember showing Andrew, look at this. He's like, oh my God, I never noticed that on a car. It's like, and I explained to him the reason why that happens. But diminished value is a huge, huge income for the insurance companies. Why? Because they owe it and they don't pay it. So, Andrew, can you please tell Orlando community what is a diminished value, to who is owed, and for how many years they can actually collect on a diminished value case?
Yes, if somebody else is at fault for an accident, you have and causes property damage to your car, most likely that car is going to be worth less money than it was right before the accident. Even if it's repaired 100% to manufacturer specifications, and we all know about Carfaxes when you go either to sell the car to an individual or to a dealer, and they're going to look up the vehicle history and they're going to see car's been in an accident. Sometimes they'll have more information on whether it was severe or minor, and whether there was, potential structural damage. But that car has lost value, and as Juan was saying, behind your home and your education, for most people, their car is their next most valuable asset. And the insurance company of the at-fault party has charged that person premiums to insure against if they cause damages, whether it's injury damages or property damages. And they're collecting premiums based on all the claims that could be made against their insured, that at-fault party. And one of those damages is diminished value, that, again, the insurance company is collecting premiums to insure people against diminished value claims, but very few people are actually making those claims, partly because they just don't know about them, but partly, as we were talking before, maybe they have a personal injury attorney, but that personal injury attorney says, hey, I'm not going to deal with any of the property damage side of your claim. And the value of a diminished value claim can range quite drastically. I mean, a lot of it depends on the year, make, and model of the car, is if it's a higher end car, lower end car, the mileage, because the car can't diminish more than it was already worth. So you're looking at that. But these claims, I mean, they could be anywhere from $1,000 to over $50,000, again, on higher end cars, or I've even seen them cross into six figures before on exotic cars. So and like Juan's saying, it's just a claim that a lot of people don't even know they can make. And there's 4 years from the date of the accident, Florida, to bring a claim against the at-fault party. Unfortunately, though, if you had a personal injury claim, if it's resolved, you probably signed a release, and that release, or if a lawsuit was filed once the case was dismissed, probably got rid of your diminished value claim, even though you didn't get paid for it. So again, that
Wow.
gets back to why it's important to find, if you're hiring an attorney that's going to actually help you with all of your claims, and not just a part of it, because they likely, um, you know, there were other things you lost in that accident. Again, in this particular case, what we're talking about, the diminished value, that the law provided you a remedy for and you didn't get.
And let me ask you, Andrew, do you think that direct repair shops encourage customers to get their cars post repair inspected and get a diminished value claim going?
Probably not. I'm sure there's some good people at some of the direct repair shops that might mention it to people, but again, whether they're even allowed to, because that claim is going to be made against the insurance company, which is the same person that referred them the case.
Let's
So you
think
get
about this. You take the car to the repair facility that the insurance company recommend. And then after that, they tell you, hey, ma'am, just want to let you know that you owe what is called diminished value. Do you know that? And then Mrs. Smith is calling her insurance company. Oh, yeah, my body shop told me that there's something called diminished value and I need to collect it from you. Let's face it, how many of referrals that body shop is going to get? Zero. That's the reality of the industry. That's why they don't tell you. They will not tell you because they don't want to lose their referrals. And let's face it, body shop owners, we are too lazy to market. We are too lazy to advertise. And we depended on those referrals. Thank God, 2011, I made the decision of changing my ways. And I was like, you know something? I'm going to be done. I'm going to please the right master, which is the consumer. Guys, it breaks my heart to say this, but being a direct repair provider and seeing how I had to cheat and deceive the consumer to stay in business every day made me wake up disgusted, feeling like a hypocrite. Why? Because I didn't know any better. Thank God I was able to reach out to an angel. His name is Barrett Smith. There's another podcast that you guys need to watch in our archive. Barrett Smith with Auto Damage Experts. He showed me the way of being able to stay in business, feel proud of being a professional, and just expose the truth to the consumer, educate them, empower them, and the consumer will become your biggest ally because they're going to fight for what's right for them and get what is righteously owed to them. And then, if you're able to show the community of Orlando, they're going to reach out like David did, reach out to Andrew Irvin, tell him, hey, I need your help. That's how I was able to connect with him and others. And we're able to impact at least a small percentage of the Orlando community. So the key here is out of this podcast, this is a podcast that we're talking a little bit about a lot of subjects, but we're going to have Andrew for a specific subjects. One for what is called total losses, how to deal with total losses, how to deal with diminished value, how to deal with personal uh, property damage, how to deal with the physical injury part. And we're going to have a lot more other podcasts for you to be watching in the future because it's impossible to put everything in one podcast. Andrew, let's talk a little bit about total loss vehicles. How many people in this country and how many lawsuits have been in the last couple of years that they are, I think it's already on billions of dollars, how many people have been indemnified back because some insurance companies have shortchanged them on their total loss settlement.
Yeah, so big, or I mean the bigger ones that, so the for years insurance companies weren't paying things like sales tax on a total loss, or title and registration fees, which if your car is totaled, you got to get a new car. And part of the value of the car you had was you already had paid sales tax on it. You had to get registration fees. And again, in an effort to save as many dollars as possible, the $79 registration fee, the title registration fee, if you multiply that across tens of thousands of claims, just think of how much, just by the insurance company not paying those, how many millions of dollars that they saved. So there have been some class actions on those things. For the most part, it's gotten the insurance companies back in line of, hey, now they pay sales tax, they pay registration fees. But there's still an ongoing battle on the value of vehicles. I'm involved in some of the cases just in an individual level, and then some, and hopefully some other ways, but where we bring claims on behalf of an individual to say, hey, how the insurance company was valuing their total loss was insufficient, and the insurance company is not upholding kind of their end of the insurance contract. So that's been kind of this, again, the spinning off of learning more about property damage, again, learning more about total loss, and seeing that no other lawyers are really fighting this issue. Just been a part of doing those cases. Unfortunately, here in Florida, like these claims generally were impractical to bring like one at a time on behalf, one individual versus the insurance company. Mainly for the reason that you file a case against an insurance company, they will again make it like World War III, and fight you until a judge or a jury tells them, yeah, you owe this money. And hiring a lawyer, that can cost tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, to get to that point. So Florida previously had a law that if you brought a claim against your insurance company and you won, that they had to pay your attorney's fees in addition to your claim. And unfortunately, that law went away in March of this year, 2023. And so now you're seeing, again, insurance companies getting to kind of nickel and dime in their perspective to an individual, but it might be, 5, 10, 20% of undervaluing your car that you care about. And there's less remedies available like for people, unless they're really willing to fight that on their own. But we do have a lot of resources for people, some videos and articles on our website about how to negotiate your total loss claim, how to push for more money. And I do think if you can be kind of that squeaky wheel with your claim, most of those people do see the benefit and are able to get what they're owed per their insurance policy on what the value of their car is.
At least in our experience, Andrew, we seen that the first offer is always about 15 to 20% under, and they always forget about the taxes, dealer fees, transfer fee. And we tell the customer, one of our services when a vehicle gets declared a total is to help the consumer to do a comprehensive research of what their car is worth. Because a lot of times we ask customers, did they make you an offer? Oh, yeah. How much it was? Are you happy with it? Oh, yeah, I'm really happy with it. Because they don't know. So like, all right, would you mind if you get a second opinion? Let's jump in on the computer and let's get some comparables. How much is going to take to replace your vehicle, man? And what do? We go and sit down with them, help them, guide them to find at least 5 to 6 comparables in the marketplace. And it's really simple. I tell them this: I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney. But based on what the Florida statute, I understand, it says that you're supposed to be able to drive off of a dealer with the same car, like, kind, and quality, and all you pay is your deductible. That is a fair settlement. Let's think about this. The money that they gave you, based on the research that we have online of these vehicles, would you have enough if we add the taxes and fees and all that? Like, no, I don't know. I think you need to call an expert to help you with that. That's why we have experts like Andrew Irvin. We got different experts that help them. Another one is Barrett Smith with auto damage experts. Other one is Billy Wachovia with collision safety consultants. And they're all going to be here in this podcast because I want to make sure the Orlando community is exposed and they know there's people that believe in doing the right thing for the right reasons for the right people, which is you, the consumer. And let's face it, there's a lot of total loss vehicles driving on the road that they shouldn't be repaired. Andrew, can you share a couple of those cases that we do post-repair inspections and vehicles they were supposed to be totals and customers didn't know?
Yeah, so sometimes again, maybe the shop does the repairs the insurance company said to do, and
to the T.
Didn't to the T, or this time didn't just not do the repairs like I've seen often, but they shouldn't have been repairing the car in the first place, and had an repair plan been done that actually showed all the damage that the car sustained. The cost of repair would have been much more, and if the cost of repair exceeds the value of the vehicle, usually the insurance company totals it. So I think we've seen multiple times where somebody gets a car repaired based on the shop and the insurance company saying, "Oh yeah, it's only going to cost this amount to repair. Let's get it done." They get it done, and then it isn't acting the same. It's having issues, and a lot of times because there's just damage that's totally been ignored by both the repair shop and the insurance company. And again, just in an effort to save time and money. And probably, a lot of those cars just should have been totaled. And although I get calls from people all the time that, "Oh, I don't want my car totaled. I've got this emotional connection." And I understand that. But if the alternative is getting placed back in the car that you have this emotional attachment to, but it's now unsafe, and if you get unfortunately hit again, what's going to happen? Is the car going to respond the way that the manufacturer intended it to respond and protect you? It's just not worth the risk. So again, it just comes back to making sure. One of the things I tell people when they're selecting a repair shop is ask to tour it. Don't just walk in the front door and just assume, maybe they got a little nice front office and a receptionist that's friendly. Don't assume that they know what they're doing or have the, equipment, like you're saying, to do it. And even if you don't know anything about collision repair, if you go back and tour the bays and the areas where they're doing repairs, especially if you go and see different ones, you'll quickly see the difference. In fact, we had a mutual client that was at Allies Auto that said his Juan's shop is like NASA. Just how clean it was, and it just looks state of the art. And I can tell you, not all shops look like that, and probably almost none of them do.
And we're proud of that, Andrew, because we do it to honor our community. They deserve proper, safe repairs done by happy technicians who are prepared and educated. And all that comes with a premium, guys. It's not free. We got to pay for it. We got to pay for the training of the technicians. We got to pay for all that nice equipment, and we have to pay to keep it updated and in good shape. Every month, we pay thousands of dollars on different softwares and different upgrades that we have to keep current in this industry. And the sad thing is, the direct repair shop or a shop that doesn't have your best interest in mind, they're not going to tell you, "Hey, we believe this vehicle should be deemed a total," because it's going to exceed the value of making it safe for you so you don't have any issues in the future. because one of them, they're concerned, hey, I don't have any work on the lot. So they're pretty much losing work. I prefer losing a job than putting a consumer in an unsafe vehicle. I prefer losing a job. I prefer losing a job and a referral from an insurance company, but I did the right thing for the consumer and educate them and empower them to make the right decisions. Sometimes we're emotionally attached to a vehicle, and I understand, but it's sometimes better to find the same exact vehicle in another county, probably that has less mileage, better conditions, and that's the only one. We find that unicorn. And we have many of our customers who are like, Juan, thank you, thank you, thank you for being my ally and help me through this process because you were able to help me to get what is righteously owed. My car had 120,000 miles. It wasn't in perfect shape, but I loved that car. And they broke my heart when they decided they're going to total it. But you know something? I was able to find one just like it with a little bit less mileage and even a little bit better conditions, and I'm whole thanks to you. Andrew, can you explain what is light canon quality so the
Sure,
consumer
sure.
understand what it is? And if they cannot make them whole, like light canon quality, they can be worse. It can be better, but it can be worse. Can you elaborate on that, please, a little bit?
So in the total loss
Yes,
context, because
yes.
the Florida statutes don't actually use that phrase. Um, they use the phrase actual cash value, and that's what most insurance policies say that they will pay you is the actual cash value of a car, which
Actually, it's the other section of the law that says if they cannot settle, agree to a cash value, then you can tell the insurance company, here's a car at this
they go
dealership.
and buy it. Yeah.
Yep.
Which so yeah, my reading of that is that so there's a law that one of the options an insurance company can take is actually just replace the car for you.
Mhm.
Where they would go out, buy it for you, put it in you, and say, hey, this car's like you're saying, the same kind of quality as the car you had, same condition, and we're gonna buy it for you and put you in it. Um, I don't think there's any requirement that you can put on an insurance company to say, hey, you have to do that. I'm selecting this option. Most times you're governed by, if you're making the claim on your own policy, you're governed by your insurance policy. And a lot of insurance policies don't even have that as an option, but it is something that the law says they can do. They normally don't do it, and probably because they know if they were to go replace your car, they're going to have to pay more than what they're offering you in just a cash settlement. But I believe that the law essentially still says the same thing because it says that they have to pay you the actual cash value. Some insurance policies define that phrase, but generally speaking, like our court systems define that as like the market value of your car or the replacement value of your car. So what would it cost you to go buy your same exact car in the market today had it not been in this crash? And so it's still kind of the same principle of that's what they should be paying you, the replacement value. Unfortunately, because I think a big reason because the insurance companies have been losing on this issue because it's being exposed that they haven't been doing this for the last, probably decades, but we can only go back about 4 or 5 years. Um, Insurance policies are starting to change, or they're talking about changing, and they'll start to put different caps in policies or other things to say, hey, we don't want to pay you the value of your vehicle anymore. And so it's going to become more and more important as some of these policies change or these insurance companies lobby to get the laws changed, that you look at your insurance policy to make sure, what am I actually insuring? Am I insuring the full value of my car, or did I agree that even though my car is worth 25,000, I'm capped out at 10,000? And I think that is going to be a likely direction insurance companies are going to start pushing for, where they'll have, again, either whether it's some type of cap, or we're saying, hey, we no longer have to pay you the full replacement value. And your premium should go down if they're doing that, but it never seems like they do.
I always when we're having our consultations, we tell the customers like, hey, emotions, you got to set them to the side and you got to think logical, because the insurance company is going to try to hit and push that button of emotions, so you make really bad decisions. And you got to think logical. Sometimes when it's beneficial for them, they're going to tell you one thing, and when it's not, they're going to tell you another. And that's why you got to hold them accountable to their contract. But let's face it, Orlando community, how many people read their policy? I tell you, I'm not. I will go through it, read the basics, but have I ever read a full policy? No. Sometimes you don't find out what's in that policy until you need it. And we see it every day. Consumers, it's like, oh, my policy doesn't cover this, doesn't cover that. But that's why we're going to be bringing insurance sales and firms that sell insurance, that they will actually educate you, so you understand what you're picking. So, but that's going to be another podcast. Andrew, another thing that a lot of consumers is like, I believe, I believe the insurance world is just miraculous how they sell a product, but they scare the living crap of people to not to use it. And a lot of people, and I've been lucky enough to see how somebody goes to court trying to seek what's right for them, and how they push their emotions with the questions, make them feel like the person is a crook because he just wants to get indemnification because he had neck surgery or back surgery. And it's sad to see how a lot of consumers have this this limited belief, this, which is wrong. Oh, if I file a lawsuit on an accident, if I go to a chiropractor to get checked out, I'm a horrible human being. And it just breaks my heart, because you pay for insurance for a reason. So I don't believe on making, if you're not injured, hey, don't pursue the lawsuit, but at least get checked out. Because, like I said, personal family members, no, I don't want to do anything. Then a couple of months later, they don't feel good. It's like, man, I wish I would have done something. And with treatment, that could have been prevented. But some people, they're like, oh, and I'm going to use a really tough tagline. A lot of attorneys are called ambulance chasers, and it's something that, yeah, the bad apples of the industry, those attorneys and those injury clinics that are chasing ambulances are the problem. Why the industry is head over heels? Why? Because they are suing everybody, and a lot of the people don't even need the treatment, and they're trying to defraud them. So I understand the insurance company's position, but the people who need it, the people who have the right expert, the right documentation, the supporting documentation that supports their case, they deserve to get indemnified. And it breaks my heart seeing how good shops like ourselves, Allies Auto, and many others in the country, we document everything from day one. We're transparent, we're ethical. We make sure that your file is documented, so without shadow of a doubt, the claim should be settled in a fair, in a good faith matter, and they just pay what is righteously owed, not a dime more, not a dime less. Because the insurance company's job that they signed up is to cover people in the time of need, not to half cover them, not to pay a quarter of what it should. That's their business. They're gambling that you're never going to get into an accident. And if you do, they'll pay. But unfortunately, anything that they save, every little penny that they save is pure profit because they should have paid it. So that's why they own all the buildings. They spend billions of dollars in marketing, and they're so powerful. And that's why they don't like guys like us, because we're telling the truth. We're exposing the truth. Can you elaborate a little bit on that stigma that people have that if I make a lawsuit, I'm a bad person, Andrew? Because it just breaks my heart every time I see that. And I
Yeah.
know you're not an ambulance chaser. I can witness for that. You are a pro consumer. You help your customers, and I see how you do it. And I congratulate you because I'm proud to say very few attorneys do what you do. You are one of the few, one of the only ones actually helps the consumers the right way and go the extra mile. Help us to get you, the consumer, what is righteously owed in your property damage. Go ahead.
Yeah, or a thing I hear often, or well, I don't want to make a claim because my rates are going to go up, and I always think, what a great business to be in as an insurance company. That one, in Florida, you're required to have auto insurance, so the government mandates that we all buy this product if we own a car. If you own a car, you have to buy auto insurance. So the government mandates everybody buys this product, and then we're all scared to use it when we need it. And I don't pretend to understand the algorithms that insurance companies use to set rates, and I'm sure they use claims history as part of how
Mhm.
they determine rates. But again, this is why you're paying insurance, is so that you don't have to come out of pocket on on the things that you lose after an accident. And so the idea of, well, I've paid these premiums and now I'm scared the premiums are going to go up. I understand it because the insurance companies have really, and like you say, just kind of in that big picture, there are bad apples. There's people that make fraudulent claims. Um, there's people in the legal industry that perpetuate those fraudulent claims. There's doctors that are medical providers that might be involved in that.
Every industry has some, Andrew.
you know
Every
and
industry.
and then but the insurance company has been very good at also capitalizing on that and kind of pushing um that narrative to people throughout the country, again, for decades of, well, let's take these really bad examples and make that's the norm. That's what this is all about. um one of my favorite lines, which I didn't come up with, is with personal injury cases. It's not about what people are going to get. It's about what they lost. And again,
Exactly.
and there's a difference there of, again, this we've created a civil system where if you're injured in a car accident, we don't take the person that hit you, put him in a car, and then run a car into him. It's not that eye for an eye type of system. We've graduated from that, which might have been thousands of years ago how things would have been done. And in order to keep kind of our civil system, we've determined that compensating people through money damages is kind of that civil remedy that we have. And so again, it's about, there's the aspect of what have people lost, and holding people accountable for their carelessness, whether that's somebody that's at fault for causing an accident, or an insurance company that didn't live up to its obligations for those in that insurance policy on the premiums you paid.
And the same thing comes down to like, I'm going to tell you about my personal, this is personal experience. My wife, Shayla, she's a licensed massage therapist. And she went to work for some service providers in this city that provide services of therapy for people who are injured. And I believe it happened for a reason. She went and she worked at one of these such called pain clinics. I remember my wife coming home exhausted, sometimes crying, feeling horrible because it's like, I can't believe these people don't care about the patients. Some of these patients don't even want to be treated, they don't want to be here. And that makes me feel horrible. And I told her, you know something? Just get out of that place. And that's the little things that you experience to shape your character and see, because I have lived this. I know how it is. Nobody can tell me that I'm lying. And if they do, let's prove it. Put your money where your mouth is. And that's why I'm going to challenge everybody. Because if they want to get shops like us out of business because we're telling the truth, might as well go in style. I've been saying that for 14 years, right, Andrew? And our shop keeps growing and getting bigger and better. So if you want to get me out of business, might as well go at it in style. And thank God, the more that we are oppressed, the more we grow. And the more the Orlando community sees that we are a different kind of shop. We're not focused on volume. We are focused on quality and building relationships with our community. So that's why we're here. And that's why the Allies Community Podcast is here. I can't believe, Andrew, we've been talking for over an hour and I'm having so much fun. I could be here for another 2 hours. But we need to wrap this up. We're going to be making, and please comment if other topics that you want to hear us talking about. Next week, we're going to have an expert that is going to be talking about um, how to hire the right service expert for your home repairs. And especially if you're doing an insurance claim, how to do the right choice. And we're going to be talking about total loss mitigation, diminished value, personal injury, personal property. And one thing that we want to make sure that you understand, if you get into an accident, please seek professional help. Make sure you call an attorney like Andrew. Hopefully you call them Andrew at Irvin Law here in Winter Park, and get at least checked out. If everything is clear, everything is okay, great. You don't need nothing. I tell my customers, worst case is you get a couple of massages and you feel great and you're good. That's it. But it will really be bad to have the same experience that my wife did. Get into an accident, don't do anything, and now she's suffering with her hands. And it's how you learn. Andrew, did you have any closing thoughts for our Orlando community about what we're
No,
trying to do?
it's been a pleasure. Hope you have me back on sometime. And like you said, if there's other topics people want to hear about, I'll say I don't know it all. I love to learn. That's one of my favorite things about being an attorney, and also earning people's trust. And so happy to dive into other topics with you. If there's others that people want as kind of this intersection of like law and collision repair and insurance claims.
Yeah. And please like our content, share it, share it, share it. We need your help, Orlando community. Go to irvinlegal.com, go to his Facebook, go to his YouTube. Please, we need you to be our ally, because we want to keep helping the Orlando community. And the only way that's going to happen is if you are our ally and you keep sharing this content. And like a great friend says, never take advice how to collect the money from the person that owes it to you. That's one thing that I learned very, very early, that you never want to take advice from the person that owes you that money, how to collect it. And I always like to finish with a quote. And this one is a proverb that says, "Don't answer the foolish arguments of a fool, or you will become as foolish as they are." Guys, when we're dealing with people that don't have your best interest in hand, you cannot try to make sense of what they're going to tell you. It's like incredible the kind of stuff that we go through on the daily basis, the kind of lies, the kind of stuff that they pull out of their who knows where, just because they have one thing that they're focusing, saving money on your behalf or the repair expert's behalf. And that's what we're trying to do. And if you are a collision repair owner, a service expert of on any of the industries, home, auto, and you don't think there's a better way, because I remember being in that position thinking there's no way that I'm able to run an ethical business and stay afloat. They're too powerful. Give me a call. I want to talk to you. I want to point you to one of our allies, one of our experts that help us to walk through this journey, because the community deserves more repair experts, more professionals that say, you know something, I am not going to play the game. I am going to do what's right for the consumer. And I'm going to feel proud every day and go to bed every night knowing that I did what I'm supposed to do. It's our moral duty as professionals, repair experts, service experts, to do what's right for the consumer. And if you have a license and you are not doing what's right for the consumer knowingly, you're exposing yourself to a lot of liability. And sooner or later, you will get caught. And hopefully, that day, you're going to be able to say, I got all the documentation, I did everything right. You can cover yourself. But if you don't, you could lose everything that you work for. That's why at Allies Auto, we care so much about trying to do everything as best as human ability will allow us. Because first, we have the moral duty with the community of Orlando, with our team, and take care of this community, put them on safe and proper repairs. Andrew, thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you for the friendship that we have since 2014, and thank you for everything you're doing to help our community. And we need to schedule the next podcast.
Well, thank you, Juan. Looking forward to it.
Have a wonderful day, Orlando. Don't forget, share, subscribe, and please comment. Let us know what you want to, what else, what other things you want to learn, so we can bring experts to help you, because we know there's a lot of questions that people are not answering, and we want to be that ally in your corner. So this is another podcast of the Allies community. This is Juan saying goodbye, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.